History remember many kings, emperors, and conquerors, but only a few men reshaped an entire continent. Europe was once ruled by ancient royal families, old traditions, and slow-moving armies. Power belonged to kings by birth, not by talent. Then came one man who changed everything. He rose from chaos, not royalty, from the smoke of revolution, not the halls of kings. A soldier who believed speed, intelligence, and bold decisions could defeat any empire. His enemies underestimated him. His allies feared his ambition. And within a few short years, nearly all of Europe stood against him. This is not just the story of general. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who came closer than anyone else to ruling all of Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on the small island of Corsica, far from power and influence. He was not born into wealth, royalty, or privilege. A young man, Napoleon was often ignored and underestimated. He spoke with an accent. He came from an island recently taken by France. Many never imagined he would rise beyond an average officer. But Napoleon studied war obsessively. He read history, analyzed battles, and memorized the mistakes of great generals. Where others relied on tradition, Napoleon relied on calculation. During the French Revolution, chaos destroyed the old order. Armies lacked leadership. France needed commanders willing to take risks. Napoleon seized this moment. At just 24 years old, he defeated larger, more experienced armies through speed and surprise. Europe had never seen a commander like him before. Napoleon's power did not come from massive armies. It came from how he moved them. While Europe's armies marched slowly, Napoleon moved fast. He attacked before enemies were ready. He struck where they felt safe, and he vanished before they could respond. Napoleon split his forces, confusing enemy generals. They never knew where the real attack would come from. His soldiers were promoted by skill, not birth. This created loyalty, discipline, and belief. Men fought harder because they trusted their leader. Napoleon studied maps endlessly. He analyzed terrain, weather, and timing. Every battle was planned long before it was fought. Enemy commanders followed old rules. Napoleon rewrote them. He did not just win battles. He outthought his enemies. And this new way of war shattered Europe's traditional military mindset forever. One by one, Europe's great powers began to fall. Empires that had ruled for centuries were suddenly unprepared. Austria was defeated again and again. Each loss weakened its influence across the continent. Prussia, once feared by all, was crushed in a matter of days. Europe watched in shock. Italy fell under French control. Old rules were removed. New government took their place. Napoleon did not simply conquer land. He dismantled the old balance of power. Borders were erased and redrawn. Kings lost their thrones. Dynasties came to an end. For the first time in history, Europe feared one man, not one empire. Coalitions formed to stop him. Nations untied against a single leader. But every time they faced Napoleon, they were defeated. At the height of his power, Napoleon controlled or influenced nearly all of continental Europe. It seemed nothing could stop him. It seemed Europe now belonged to Napoleon. Napoleon ruled with more than just force. He ruled with reform. He modernized governments across Europe. Old systems were replaced with efficient administrations. Laws became clearer. Power became centralized. Napoleon introduced the Napoleon Code, a legal system so powerful that parts of it are still used today. To ordinary citizens, Napoleon brought order after chaos. stability after revolution. To his soldiers, he was more than a commander. He was an inspiration. Men followed him into battle because they believed in him. But to kings and emperors, Napoleon was a nightmare. He threatened the very idea of monarchy. He proved that crowns could fall, that power could be taken, not inherited. On the battlefield, his presence alone changed everything. Enemy morale collapsed before the first shot was fired. Napoleon believed destiny favored him. He believed he was chosen by history. And for many years, history seemed to agree. But unchecked power creates confidence. And confidence can become arrogance. And arrogance often marks the beginning of the end. Napoleon believed no army could defeat him. That belief led him to his greatest mistake. In 1812, he invaded Russia. The distance was endless. Supplies ran short. Russian forces refused direct battle, retreating deeper into their land. Then winter arrived. Cold destroyed men faster than enemy fire. Hunger, exhaustion, and disease shattered Napoleon's army. What began as the greatest invasion force in Europe became a desperate retreat through snow and death. Napoleon survived, but his empire never truly recovered. Sensing weakness, Europe finally untied. Britain, Prussia, Austria, Russia, former enemies set aside their differences to face one man. Napoleon fought desperately to regain control. He moved fast. He struck hard. But the world was no longer divided. In 1815, at Waterloo, everything came to an end. Heavy rain slowed his advance. Attacks were delayed. Fresh enemy forces arrived at the worst moment. For the first time, Napoleon could not adapt fast enough. He was defeated, exiled from power. He escaped once, returned to France, and tried again. But Europe was ready. This time, there would be no return. Napoleon was captured and sent far away to a remote island, isolated from power, isolated from history. The man who once ruled Europe became a prisoner. The empire was gone. The legend remained. Napoleon lost his empire, but not his influence. His military tactics are still studied today. His legal reforms shape modern law. His rise proved that talent could defeat tradition. He showed the world how fragile empires truly are, and how an individual can change history. Napoleon did not rule Europe, but he came closer than anyone else ever has. And that is why his name still echoes through time. If you want to understand how power rises, how empires fall, and how history truly works, subscribe to Epic Conflicts and War. Because the past still shapes our future.